Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna, good morning. This is a little bit of a surprise for me too, to be up here. It was supposed to be Ananta Garanga, but he's not coming until later today, so I'm filling in. Haridas asked me to speak a verse about the holy name, and I chose a verse that maybe at first won't seem like it's about the holy name. It's not directly mentioned in the verse itself. However, the context is very much about the holy name, and I want to also share the reason why I chose it later on, which is very much about the holy name. Today's verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, chapter number 2, text 35. I don't know if there's a screen or a board, or if anyone has their phone, they can search this. 6-2-35. I'll just read through the Sanskrit once on my own, and if anyone has their phone or device, we can do call and response. Soham tatayati syami Soham tata yatishyami yata chindre yinanila yata chindri yanilaha yata na bhuya atmanam yata na bhuya atmanam ande tamasi majaye soham tata yatishyami yata chittendriyanila yata na bhuya atmanam ande tamasi majaye. Would someone like to chant? Ande tamasi majaye soham tata yatishyami nabuya atmanam ande tamasi majaye soham tata yatishyami yata chittendriya nilaha nabuya atmanam ande tamasi majaye soham tata Chandriya nila yatana bhuya atmanam ande tamasi soham tata yatishyami yata chittendriya nila yatana bhuya atmanam such a person, aham, I, tata, in that way, yatishyami, I shall endeavor, yata chitta indriya, controlling the mind and the senses, anila, and the internal airs, yata, so that, na, not, bhuya, again, atmanam, my soul, ande, in darkness, tamasi, in ignorance, majaye, I drown. This is, by the way, Ajamil speaking. Translation: I am such a sinful person, but since I have now gotten this opportunity, I must completely control my mind, life, and senses, and always engage in devotional service, so that I may not fall again into the deep darkness and ignorance of material life. Purport. Every one of us should have this determination. We have been elevated to an exalted position by the mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master. And if we remember that this is a great opportunity and pray to Krishna that we will not fall again, our lives will be successful. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I was thinking, since it's practically the last day of the year, that, and the devotee should always be very introspective. And there's many days in our Vaishnav calendar which we can consider a new beginning. In the Gaudiya calendar, there's Gaura Purnima, there's Diwali is often considered a new year. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that every Ekadasi we should observe how is our bhajan. So every 2 weeks we have a landmark. But in the Western calendar, we also have the end of our calendar year. And so a very nice introspective question we can ask ourselves is, how has my chanting evolved this year? Has my chanting evolved this year? Maybe how many times have I felt an actual connection with the holy name when I've chanted in this 2025 year? Or do I desire to chant more after 2025? Do I desire to chant more this year than I did last year? Or do I desire less for material things? Do I desire less for prestige, name, fame, adoration? These are very good introspective questions, especially as we end a year here at a Kirtan festival, where for the next 48 hours, the majority of that time will be spent hopefully chanting Hare Krishna. And so when I ask myself this question, unfortunately the answer isn't that I've evolved, it's more that perhaps I've remained stagnant or maybe devolved. And it's a very eye-opening question. It's a very face myself in the mirror type of question. And this year I realized that I can't keep going with the same ignorance is bliss mentality when it comes to looking at my own chanting and looking at where will this take me if I continue the way I'm going year after year after year. And so I had to make a decision. Do I just continue and try the same thing I do over and over again to perhaps improve my chanting and then fall into the same traps, the same bad habits, or do I seek help? Do I ask somebody? Do I reveal that I need some help in this regard? So I tried that, and it was difficult, and I reached out to seniors, I reached out to devotees I hold very close to my heart, and I shared, I don't feel like I'm evolving. I feel like maybe I'm going backwards, or I'm somehow missing the point. And the answer that I got very directly was that I need an overhaul. I need a reformation. You heard of this word, reform? Reform. Re means to, again, do something, right? Re. And form, to come together, to form. So I have to again come together. I have to make a reform. I have to try again in a new way. If anyone here is a sports fan and you see a football team and they have their, the two sides are going at each other and everyone's on the ground, the next play comes, you have to reform. You have to come back together. You have to get into position and you have to try again and try your best to slowly move forward up the field. It's the same way. We have to make a reform. And it was hard to hear. I need to start over, so to say. I have to see that somewhere along the way, I didn't apply properly the teachings which I was learning. I didn't learn correctly and build the right habits in order to make advancement in spiritual life, make advancement in my relationship with Krishna through his holy name. And so that's been something on my mind this year, and I feel very strongly that that's perhaps something that we should look at in our own life. And this is why I chose this verse in particular, because Ajamil is a very interesting example of someone who actually started off on a spiritual path. Ajamil was a Brahmana. His parents were Brahmanas, And as a young person, he was self-controlled, he was faithful to his wife, he did service, he studied the Shastra. In fact, his life may not look so different from some of our lives today. It's crazy to say that because we think of Ajamil as this pure sinner. But actually, he started his life maybe very similar to how we started our life, or how we had similar aspirations in spiritual life. But somewhere along the way, that he became very disturbed by seeing the image of a prostitute with another person. And as much as he tried to think about something else, this disturbed his mind. And he thought, maybe I want to be with this person. Maybe I don't want to be with my wife anymore. Maybe I want to give up the spiritual life because it doesn't seem to work so much. And this seems more interesting. This seems more enjoyable. I get more pleasure from this. And the spiritual life hasn't taken me anywhere so far. So he went down this path. And he kept tumbling along this path again and again and again. And to the point where he had many children at an old age with her, 10. At the age of 88, I think it's 88 or in the late 80s, he had his youngest son, who was his favorite, Narayan, just a small infant toddler. And he was so attached to Narayan. Narayan, you're my favorite son. And the time of death came, and it was so scary. And who did he call out for? It was his son. And it said that he was calling with tears in his eyes, shouting, Narayan, 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 tears in his eyes. He was really chanting. And then we know the story, then the Yamadutas come, and they come to drag his soul out of his body to hell. I mean, this is really something scary. And the Vishnudutas come at the same time. This has never happened before. These two sides, they've never met at the same time. And they're pointing at each other. So that Spider-Man meme, they're just pointing at each other. Who are you? Who are you? I'm taking him this way. No, I'm taking him this way. And the Yamadutas are saying, no, he's the most sinful person. Isn't it obvious? He's so sinful. Look at what he's done. Just look at his life right here and now. And look what he gave up. His parents, his Brahmin parents who had no other children, his wife, his spiritual life, he's cheated, he's gambled, he's done every aparad, every sin possible. But they said, no, but he's sinless. Who are these people? You're telling me he's sinless. He's chanted Narayan. He's sinless. What do you mean? He called out for his son. He didn't chant the Supreme Lord's name. And the Vishnudutas say, but he chanted Narayana. 4 syllables. It doesn't matter. Fire is fire. Whether you know it's fire, the fire is coming, it's going to burn. It's going to be hot. This is the name of Krishna. It's independent. It's so powerful. And he didn't chant with the intention to then sin later. That would be aparad. Right? This is one of the offenses, to commit sin on the strength of chanting Hare Krishna. Yes. He didn't do that. And he did it with so much devotion in a sense. Even though the name was not meant for the Supreme Lord, still, it was there. And so the Yamadutas went back. I'm summarizing. And Ajamil arises from his near-death experience. And he's thinking, where did everybody go? What just happened? Was that a reality? Was it not? Was it fake? And this is where the section which I'm speaking about today is when Ajamil arises from his near-death experience. And he's realizing what's happening. And he's taking on this reform mood. He's taking on this mood that, oh my gosh, so many years have passed. So many things I've done. I've left my family. My poor parents have left my parents. So many sins I've committed, again after again after again. I'll read a few of these verses because they're just, you get a sense of the remorse he's feeling, genuinely. And I think that's an important mood to cultivate as well. He says, alas, being servant to my senses, how degraded I am. I fell down from my position as a duly qualified brahmana, begot children in the womb of a prostitute. All condemnation upon me. I acted so sinfully that I degraded my family tradition. And he goes on and on and on. Srila Prabhupada comments very nicely that this sentiment, this lamentation, this reformation mood, as I'm calling it, this seeing what actions that we have done to bring us to the place that we are now, is actually, this is the first sentiment to help us advance in spiritual life. This regretfulness, but not the kind of negative regretfulness that we sit in and we regret without action, but an actual introspection. This is the first step to advancing in spiritual life. What a nice statement. This is the first step. We have to introspect and see what have we done that maybe has not led us to where we want to go. What have we done that has taken us away from Krishna? And Srila Prabhupada continues to comment that due to the association, right, the association, so much association this weekend, or this week, this festival, and this community, due to the association of the Vishnu Dutas, actually that's how he was able to recognize these patterns that everybody else could see, that the Yamadutas were saying, isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious that he's a sinful person? He could not see that till he had the association of the Vishnu Dutas. And due to that association, then we have the chance to give up our old ways. This is how we can reform. This is how we can change. Due to the association, we can come to the realization, oh, I have something to change. I've made a mistake. I have not taken the chanting of the holy name as seriously as I would like to. Or life is very short and I need to take advantage of this moment. And due to that association, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we're given another opportunity, a second chance. There's a beautiful small BBT book called Second Chance, based off Prabhupada's purports and lectures on this topic. Second chance. Ajamil gained a second chance. Perhaps we may think we get a second chance, but maybe have you ever thought that we are on our second chance right now? This could be our second chance. This could be our third chance. Maybe we've done the same blunders Ajamil has done in a previous life. We just don't remember. So we have to take very seriously, just like he took. We have to recognize that the opportunity due to the mercy of the Vaishnavas has come to me, and I may not get such a wonderful opportunity again. And I have to take this very seriously and be very determined. And that brings me here to this verse today. And this is the determination and the mood of Ajamil that I wish to bring to light, and maybe something we can meditate on today in the kirtan. He says, I am such a sinful person, but since I have now gotten this opportunity, I must completely control my mind, life, and senses to always engage in devotional service. Or for us, this could be to always engage in the chanting of the holy name, so that I may not fall again into the deep darkness and ignorance of material life. And I think the key to real reform, as I was thinking about this verse, and thinking about what is it that really we can genuinely come to this mood that Ajamil had in his second chance. And it says that he went on to perform devotional service and attained the kingdom of God. He used his second chance properly. And I realize the key is not just the philosophical understanding of the glories of the holy name and the mercy of Krishna, because perhaps we've heard that a lot. I've heard that many times, and I still came to a conclusion this year that I'm not going in this direction. I'm either going in this direction or this direction. But it's the experience of chanting the holy name. It's the experience of Krishna within his name that could create a real reformation in our life. That's what it is, the experience. Ajamil had the knowledge. He had Vedic knowledge. He was a Brahmana. He studied. However, that knowledge alone did not give him the strong enough withholding to withhold his temptations. However, the experience of chanting the holy name, really without offense, even though it was not directed at the Supreme Lord, and in such a crying mood, that experience really allowed him to take advantage of his next opportunity. Not just the Vedic knowledge alone, not just the understanding without the realization. The realization comes from the experience. And that's why it's so important to really create a reformation in chanting, to really try again. We have to do it together in the association of the devotees, and we have to do it in kirtan, and we have to really cry out in kirtan and experience it and seek to experience Krishna within the holy name. Because if we don't, we may fall in the same pattern that Ajamila fell into. Oh, but we've heard the glories of the holy name. But if we haven't truly experienced it, we may not be able to withstand the temptations of material life. And this is why he says, I want to always engage in devotional service. I have to control my mind, life, and senses, so I may not fall again into the deep darkness and ignorance of material life. That realization came from his experience. And I was thinking of the first verse of Shikshastakam, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, right? This means cleansing the mirror of the mind. The mirror, or the mirror of the heart, you can also say, the consciousness. The mirror is like, if you look at a mirror and it's dusty, you cannot see the reflection of your real self. What you're seeing is a covered identity. This is also known as the false ego. And so through chanting, we clear this covering of the identity, and we understand that we are truly a spirit soul, a servant of Krishna. Then he goes on to say, Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam, that the glory of this Sankirtan, this congregational chanting of the holy name, is that it extinguishes the blazing forest fire of material existence. This is what Ajamil is praying for, that I don't want to fall again into the deep darkness of material life. He's experienced for so many years. He's now seen it's so dark. It doesn't bring me anywhere. But the chanting of the holy name gave him a glimpse, right, of Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam. It can extinguish this. And then Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. That Shreya, there's prayas and there's Shreyas. Prayas is that which gives benefit only temporarily, or gives pleasure to the senses only temporarily. That's what he experienced, prayas. It wasn't for his eternal benefit. All of his enjoyment was just short term, and he needed more of it, and more of it, and more of it. But Shreyas is for our eternal benefit. Shreyas is what this chanting, this congregational chanting of the holy name, is for our eternal benefit. But before we can understand the Shreyas, that this is for our eternal benefit, we have to first experience the chanting of the holy name, that it cleanses our own mind, that it cleanses our own heart, and that we feel it actually extinguishes the fire of material life within my life. Because if we don't feel that, we may never come to the conclusion that it's Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitarinam, that the chanting of the holy name is actually the moonbeams of the white lotus of good fortune. So we need the experience. And so today I wanted to share a verse which gives us 6 tips, so to say, on creating this reformation mood in our chanting. 6 tips to help us break through old patterns. This comes from Srila Sanatana Goswami and quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also quotes this in Bhajan Rahasya. The verse goes, Mana samharanam socham, monam mantrartha chintanam, avyagratabam anirvedo, japa sampatti hetava. Srila Sanatana Goswami speaks this in terms of how to perfect one's japa, or mantra chanting. But it can also be applied to our chanting of mantra in unison, in Sankirtan. In order to perfect one's chanting of mantras, of japa, one needs to cultivate the following qualities: controlling the mind, internal and external purity, silence, contemplation of the mantra's meaning, patience, and steadfastness. So I thought I could go through each of these as much as I can in the time we have and speak about these qualities of one's chanting that can help us perfect it, and how we can apply that today in the kirtan, how we can apply that over this week. The first is mana samharanam. Any idea what this means? Mana samharanam. Mana means mind. Mana samharanam means to concentrate or to focus the mind. In japa, we often hear to repeatedly bring the mind back to the mantra after it wanders. Have you heard this before? It also applies in kirtan. And we often say kirtan is more, could be easier than japa because due to the association and the many voices and the melodies and things that give support to the holy name, or to the chanting of the holy name, we can connect more easily. However, I can see myself, if I let myself go where my mind goes, it's just like surfing a wave that never ends. You know, it's just, I'm looking here, I'm looking there, I'm looking at the clock, and there's so many things that happen. So it's so important to try to think, how can we practice mana samaranam in kirtan? Krishna says that from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, we must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. It's an active effort, actually, to bring the mind under the control. And it's like a dog without a leash. You know, if you take a leash off a dog, it just runs and goes and goes. Like I was walking down this road, and I got frightened because there's this dog on one of the fences, big dog, and it's just chasing me. And luckily it had a fence, so it couldn't jump over. But this is like the mind without a leash. This is what our mind is like if we don't channel it during kirtan. And so we have to absorb the mind in the sound vibration of the holy name. This is what we can grasp onto. This is the leash. We have to grasp on very, very close to the sound vibration. What does that mean? I have a friend who has been traveling 10 years now with his spiritual master as his assistant. And he told me once they were on a flight and they were flying to the US and they got off the plane. His guru asked him, "So how was your flight? Were you able to chant?" And he said, "No, it's so hard to chant on the plane. I'm tired, I'm looking around, everywhere I look there's a TV screen. It's just impossible." And he said, the trick is you need to cancel out the volume of your own mind, and you have to increase the volume of the sound vibration of the mantra. That's the key. You have to cancel out the vibration that's happening in the mind, and you have to increase the vibration of the holy name. And so he gave an example. He said, here we're waiting for our luggage. If the vibrations around her, there's the sound of the luggage belt, there's the screens that are telling us, which flights all the luggage is coming from, there's people, there's so many distractions. And then he started to chant. And then my friend was telling me as he was chanting, you could tell him that, okay, now I'm going to clear out all of these distractions. I'm going to turn the volume of everything around me down, and I'm going to increase the volume of the sound vibration of the holy name. So I'm really absorbed in it. And he said he just stood there and chanted 5-10 minutes, just next to the conveyor belt. You would never think that this is a place where you could become absorbed in chanting, but that's the key. Anywhere, absorbing the mind in the vibration of the holy name. This is how we can control the mind. The next step from Srila Sanatana Goswami is Socham. And I'll go through these a little bit fast because some of these are more lifestyle based than they are something that we do just while chanting. Socha means cleanliness, external and internal. I'm not going to sit here and tell all of you, make sure you take a bath in the morning. It's a given. Internal, however, what's some way that we can maintain internal purity? I thought personally that it's always helpful in a kirtan festival is limiting contact with social media. Very practical. It's a whole different world. When you come into the kirtan, you enter a whole different world. And that world is a whole different world. Like I had a temptation yesterday. got back to my Airbnb and I was like, oh, college football playoffs are happening. What's the score? Should I watch the highlights? But then my consciousness, I'm removed from the consciousness, which I'm creating an atmosphere within my own consciousness while chanting the kirtan. Why should I take away from that? Then monam. This is very interesting. This is in relation, again, Sanatana Goswami is talking about japa here. Monam means silence. So it's kind of the opposite than what we do in kirtan. We chant as loudly as we can, not as silently as we can. However, silence can mean putting away distractions, silencing distractions, right? Like Rupa was saying today, keep your phone on silent so that it's not distracting during the class. Keeping your phone on do not disturb mode so that it's not pinging in during the kirtan and you're checking your phone, or maybe not taking your phone out to take a video during the kirtan. There's a wonderful live stream here. This is one way we can apply this instruction of monam in kirtan. Silencing the outside world, silencing the distractions, giving space to the holy name to appear. Mantrartha chintanam. This is a very beautiful advice from Sanatana Goswami. Contemplating the meaning of the mantra. Contemplating the meaning of the mantra. This puts us in a very prayerful mood, in a mood that we can personally connect with Krishna, because some of the definitions of the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra as given by Srila Prabhupada is, please engage me in your service, or please accept me. And when we contemplate these meanings as we chant, we start to address Krishna personally. My dear Lord, please accept me. There's a personalism there. There's a relationship there. Please engage me in your service. I want to be engaged in your service, your personal service. Please engage me more and more in this Harinam Sankirtan. These are ways by which we can connect with Krishna in a very personal way while chanting in kirtan. And the last two I think are quite interesting and maybe unexpected. Avyagratva. It means without haste, without rushing. Isn't that interesting? I was asking Udi yesterday. So Kirtan 50, is that because it started with 50th anniversary of ISKCON? He said, yeah, that was the beginning, but also we do 50 hours of kirtan. And I was like, I didn't realize it's 50 hours. If you include the 24-hour cycle that happens, I think, tomorrow, and all the other days, it's 50 hours. There's, in a sense, no rush. Doesn't mean you only attend 3 or 4 hours, but there's so much time. And there's a really nice instruction that I've learned from Bhattahari Prabhu. One devotee interviewed him and asked him, could you please share some instructions or some of your realizations about kirtan over so many years? And he says that when I lead a kirtan or I chant in kirtan, for each mantra, I start all over again. It's as if it's a new experience each time. I start new. And he says every time I lead kirtan, I realize I have to start again. And I just keep starting again. I chant one mantra, I start again. I try to chant it sincerely and offer that to Krishna. And then I start again. And I chant each mantra anew because the holy name is always fresh. So beautiful, right? Every mantra, every time he leads, and you can see this in his face. Bhattahari is so blissful when he chants. And it's each mantra, and there's no haste, there's no rush. There's no rush to finish the kirtan as soon as possible, or bring it to a crescendo as soon as possible, or wanting to get, up and dancing as soon as possible. We're just trying each mantra, one mantra at a time. Burijan Prabhu would say at Holy Name retreats, if you can just hear one Maha Mantra clearly, consider yourself very fortunate. I don't know if anyone's been to his Holy Name retreats in Govardhan, but in the mornings when chanting, he would say this again and again. If you can just hear one Maha Mantra very, very clearly, consider yourself very fortunate. It's not a rush. And the last is Anirveda, non-dejection, not losing hope. This brings me back to the verse of today, not losing hope. Ajamil could have lost hope. There's a lot of reason for him to lose hope. A lot of devotees do lose hope. I mean, they feel that I've tried for so long, it doesn't seem to work. But this is the final aspect of these 6 aspects of perfecting our chanting. Patience. Cheto Darparamajanam takes time. There's a lot of anarthas to clear. If we're sitting in kirtan and the experience might be difficult, consider yourself fortunate. That means that things are coming up, that it's working. If you're sitting in kirtan and nothing is happening, then maybe you have to do a little more digging. But be patient. This is not a mechanical process. Chanting Hare Krishna is a service, actually. It's a service to Krishna. And the holy name is pure and independent. And there's no timeline by which the holy name brings about perfection in one's life. There's no timeline by which we can realize Krishna by chanting. It can happen at a moment, it can happen in 100 years, but the devotee doesn't think in this way. It's not a goal to achieve. It's both the goal and the process. It's forever ongoing. So what's the rush? What's the need for losing hope? And that brings me to the end. I just want to take today really to bring attention to something that was very important for me. I was very nervous to speak, not just because I had 12 hours notice or 16 hours notice, but I was nervous because I feel a little uncomfortable speaking about a topic which I feel I'm so far from realized in. That's why I chose this, because I felt at least I could speak about my inadequacy and how I can improve. I can preach to myself how I can improve my own inadequacy in chanting. And maybe it would relate with your own life or your own scenario, and it could be helpful to you. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments, discussion? We have another 20 minutes. Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavad Pranam. So my question is about how can I appreciate the kirtans more, because every day we chant like our rounds, 16 rounds, and then how can when I come to, I know like when we come to kirtans, we of course we enjoy more and we love the music and then the effort, the tune of the kirtan and everything we enjoy more. And when we chant, that is like dry kind of, I could say, like when we chant by ourselves. So except that, like we enjoy kirtan more, how can I appreciate the effort of the devotees who are singing, leading the kirtans for us and who are arranging kirtans? Like what is the actual purpose of arranging kirtans, that I want to know.
Thank you for your question. How to appreciate more the devotees who are facilitating the kirtans, and what is the purpose of creating such a function like this. My Guru Maharaj would often say, such functions like kirtan festivals, holy name retreats, it's like surgery, actually. He would say, and you come in with maybe from many places, maybe with hesitancy, maybe with interest, maybe with some goal to improve, or maybe you're just here because your friends are attending and it looks nice. And if you chant, the process to chant, how should I say this? We have to chant a lot, to say it very bluntly. The process of chanting is meant to be done 24 hours a day. So the more we can do it, the better. And that's one basic function of this. Let's come together and chant as much as possible. But he would say it's like surgery, because when you sit in the kirtan, you chant a lot. It's so many things are happening. And this can't always be done if we attend kirtan only once in a while. And I think one way to appreciate the efforts of those who organize this and the devotees who facilitate the kirtan is just to engage in as much kirtan as possible. And I think that this opportunity was there for this surgery to take place, right? And for it to actually work, I have to do it as much as possible. And that's how I see it. And it's a yagya. I mean, it's a Sankirtan yagya. And yagya means there has to be some tapasya, usually. There has to be some endeavor. In older times, when there was very large fire yagyas, there was a lot of endeavor. Often they would take many, many, many years to complete one yagya. So here we have a nam yagya for 50 hours. Maybe your personal nam yagya is to attend, 6-8 hours a day. And so to complete the yagya, to see a result from the yagya, you have to do the tapasya. And that tapasya may be to engage ourselves in as much as we can. That's how I see it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one more question. So when we chant individually, do our daily sadhana, so we can have our personal prayer to the Lord, and then when we chant, then we hear. And when we do this collective sankirtan, all people coming together, and then so that time, what should be our prayer? Because when personally me, when I'm saying, when I sit with people, I don't remember my problem or my personal prayer anymore. So but it's a yagya, as you said, that it is also we are connecting to Krishna on each prayer. Again and again we are trying to connect. So what should be our prayer? Is it a collective prayer, or?
I think kirtan is, Srila Sanatana Goswami mentions here Mantartha Chintanam, so we can always contemplate on the meaning of the mantra. And it's not really a mechanical process in the sense that there is, this is what we enter the kirtan, this is the prayer we chant, this is the amount of time we chant, this is how it goes. But I feel when we just endeavor as much as we can to chant sincerely, then what we need to address Krishna will come to us. And it's also very helpful to sort of prime the mind. For example, there are wonderful prayers. Yesterday, Amal read and sang a prayer from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Akinchana also shared a very nice prayer from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. These are wonderful ways for us to prime our mind and prep ourselves for being in the right mindset and the right mood while chanting. It's a very good question, and I feel that way too. I come to the kirtan, what do I do? It's like, wait, how do I focus? And if that's something you're finding difficulty, maybe before coming to the temple for the kirtan program, read a song from Sharanagati, read a song from Gitavali for Narottam Das Thakur. Immediately you'll get the mood that they have, and you can try to catch into that as well. Thank you. We have a hand here and then one over there.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You spoke on Socham as being one of the prime ways that we can perfect our chanting, and I wanted to ask a little bit more about internal cleanliness. You said that social media, when our mind is fixed on distracting things, that can disturb our internal cleanliness. But to be in an internal space where we're receptive to the holy name, how else would you recommend?
Yeah, it's it's like, the phrase, you are what you eat, right? I think we are also what we think to a degree, right? We are what we eat. We are who we associate with to an extent. We are what we think to an extent. And if the input, now let's talk about external cleanliness first. It's very simple to understand. If you don't shower, you smell bad, right? Pretty simple. If you roll around in mud, you're dirty. It's just like, it's very simple. Apply the same principle internally. If we don't cleanse internally, if we keep putting in things which are negative, we input media, or we input vibrations which increase our tendency for lust, greed, sense enjoyment, then what happens? To say it very bluntly, then you start to stink internally, right? If you don't shower, you start to smell externally. If you don't cleanse yourself internally, you start to smell internally. It becomes evident at one point to other people. And is that really a space which we can invite Krishna into? Right? Can we invite Krishna into a space which our mind is always focused on the next thing, or focused on, whatever it might be, running out of ideas, but you can observe your own life and see. That's what I feel internal purity is. And they go hand in hand. The early morning hours are recommended as the mode of goodness. So the mode of goodness, cultivating the mode of goodness, cultivating spiritual life in the morning helps us maintain internal purity. However, we don't come to the temple early in the morning without showering first. So it goes hand in hand. It's a lifestyle. If I work on creating a lifestyle which I develop the mode of goodness, then I have clean thoughts, then I have clean actions, and so on and so forth. And then there's a space where it's very easy to practice spiritual life, and it's much more inviting to bring Krishna in. But leave it at that. Yeah. Welcome. Bhadra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have a tendency when we come to the program, coming to the answer to our question, he doesn't lead good kirtan. I don't want to go. He doesn't give a good class. I don't want to go. This tendency is there. So the answer is that I'm not coming here to who is leading the kirtan and who is good at it.
Yeah.
I'm coming here to actually pray and actually hear this sound vibration.
Yeah.
See? And that's where we are lacking sometimes. Myself, I can tell that.
Yeah.
So we have to concentrate on the sound vibration, that why I'm here.
Yeah.
Just like we are chanting Mangalarti every day, the same prayer, Samsara Dava. So I'm coming here to hear that sound vibration and hear the meaning of it and internalize of that prayer. See? Yeah. So similarly in the holy name, because particularly all you young students, you all are chanting with all different ragas, which we don't know. We don't know. We just know the simple tunes. See, so sometimes when you all chant all these different ragas, it's difficult to figure it out, and I cannot sing with that ragas what you all sing. But the point is that I have to tell myself that I'm here to hear the sound vibration, hear and internalize that way. See? Yeah. So when we gather here, it's all different kinds of devotees are chanting in different ways, different ragas.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So that's what I try to concentrate on that and work on it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Krishna is present in the vibration of his holy name. He's really present in his holy name. And I think that might be another short answer to your question of why why the Kirtan festival? Why come? Because Krishna is present in His holy name, and this is the easiest way in this age of Kali to attain perfection. It's the easiest way to associate with Krishna. It's through His holy name, and this is why we have this opportunity. Anybody else? Yes, Prabhupada Priya. And then we'll bring it back to this side.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ram Govinda.
Thank you.
Beautiful class. This is what I have to say is more of a reflection or an appreciation.
Yeah, please.
I really appreciated how you, your insight on the Ajamil pastime, because it really, the way you shared it, the way you described it, and it really resonates with our experience, that how, Ajamil was born in a devotee family, basically.
Yeah.
He was born in a pious, nice, sweet little Brahmin family. And then he got distracted by sense gratification and he went another way. But then the holy name saved him. So, whether we were born in a devotee family or whether we were, reborn by initiation a little later on, we all have our little mishaps along the way, where we get distracted, we get pulled into sense gratification, we might get slack in our practices. And, he was saved at the time of death, but hopefully we don't have to wait for that.
Yeah.
So this is a good time, actually, to, this Kirtan 50 is a good opportunity to really call out, like Ajamil did, to really reflect on where we're at in our lives, ways that we might have slackened or gotten distracted or shifted our priorities away from our Krishna consciousness, and just having a Ajamil moment where we're like, Krishna, save me, uplift me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's a devotee here who has a question.
How you doing there? My name is Samuel Bates. I'm on medication for schizophrenia. When I was in the mental hospital, I was blaming Krishna for being in the mental hospital. And if I keep on blaming Krishna for being in the mental hospital, and I blame Krishna for those people in the hospital forced me to take my medicine, will the Yamadutas get me?
Will the Yamadutas get you if you keep blaming Krishna? I think the Yamadutas won't get you because you're sitting here hearing Bhagavatam and chanting Hare Krishna. And I think following what Ajamil did, I think you'll be okay. Yeah.
Then the Yamadu's not going to bother me, right?
No, but you have to keep chanting Hare Krishna. That's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Samuel, for being here. Hare Krishna. I guess if there's no other questions, we can wrap up. I know Kirtan starts in 40 minutes. Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Grantharaja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Thanks for your question. Hare Krishna. Oh yeah, that's all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good reading of the verse. I was here read the verse. Really good. What's your name? I'm Ram Govinda.
Where should I set the stove?
Oh, you can just put that right there.
Just to grab it back here.
I can tell people to put their damn phones away. Video shoot. The lens is sick. Yeah, yeah. I've never seen a lens like this. Oh, I mean, this is extra. The lens is nice. But do you like? Is it like music videos or ads or corporate stuff? It's very vague. I mean, like I do video work, so it's like no, like someone was like, bro, I really don't know what Haridas does. He does a bit of this, a bit of that, and I was like, basically, yeah. I mean, yeah, anything you need, I can do.
Rama